Hello and welcome to Fireside Cocktails. I am your host, Susi Damilano, co-founder of the San Francisco Playhouse. And today I am feeling really lucky. There is nothing better than getting to do what you love and sharing it with others. And while I am missing very much the face-to-face collaboration that happens when we create a play, and that collaboration extends to the sharing of it with our audience, I am so grateful that we have the technology to still be together. So for those of you that are new and joining for the first time, the plan for our evening is this. We're going to be here for about 45 minutes, and we're going to kick off by learning how to make our guests go-to beverage. Then she and I are going to talk. And while we do that, I want you to type your questions or comments into the chat. And after about 20 minutes, we'll find out from Donnie what those questions are, and we'll be able to answer them. So let's get on with this. Tonight, we're going to share a mocktail with the legendary Stacy Ross. She has worked on every major stage in the Bay Area and across the US. And as some of you know, I began my acting career in my 30s. So as I was learning the craft, I spent a lot of time watching plays and found myself always intrigued and basically following around shows that Stacy was in. Every role she plays, she inhabits so just fully that, and with so much confidence that you just have no doubt that she is that character. And sometimes that could be scary. Just kidding. But Stacy is someone that I have always admired, and I'm not alone. Every director, every actor, every critic would agree that we are blessed in the Bay Area to have her. So, a little story. You can imagine how giddy I felt that day back in 2003 when Bill and I just opened our theater and Stacy Ross walked in the door to audition for our very first season. Now, make no mistake, she was auditioning us. We were not auditioning her. And when she said yes to the role in Smell of the Kill, I was walking on clouds for a month because a star took us seriously, and she literally put us on the map. And then a few years ago, she was a key part of actualizing another dream of mine, working in New York, when we took the world premiere of Bauer off Broadway. So needless to say, I love this woman. And I'd like you to join me in welcoming Stacy Ross to Fireside Cocktails. Yay! Welcome, Stacy.
Hi, thank you. I can't really live up to that, but my mocktail can. It is so good to see you.
It's so good to see you. So before we get into the mocktail, tell us where you are, because you look like you're in the most amazing place.
Oh, yeah, it is amazing for me. I love it. This is actually just a light, but this is my framing studio where I frame pictures. This thing right back there is a tapestry that needs to be stretched. These are old frames that will probably get refurbished. Mat cutter around there, big rack of shoes, because it's really just the back room of my house, or the house we rent rather. And yeah, so there's a lot of tchotchkes, there's a lot of artwork, pictures of family and friends, and then a really big table that local actor Michael Ray Wisely built for me that is solid enough for me to stand on and big enough for me to do big pieces on, and that's where I am. It's pretty cool.
It's one of those places that you kind of walk in, like I would walk in and just be staring, because I feel like everything you pull or touch on the wall, it probably has a story attached to it.
There's a lot of stuff. When my mom was still coming up to visit, she loves to stay at home now, so that's that. But when she was still coming up to visit, she would just wander in here and like spend an hour looking at stuff, and she said, it's just like when you were a kid, you just like to collect stuff. When I was like, yeah, there's that too.
That's awesome. Okay, so I'm getting thirsty. What's your mocktail?
Okay. In flirting with sobriety, I have looked up a mocktail that immediately appealed to me because it is based in ginger beer. I'm going to make a mock SCO mule. This is Bundaberg. It is the diet Bundaberg because I'm avoiding the sugars because of the insulin-y thing. But the first thing you do with the Bundaberg, and it's written on the bottle, is turn it upside down before you open it,
Ooh.
which for me is the hardest part of making this cocktail because I have this real need to shake the bottle, and you're not supposed to do that. So I'm just letting it, sift.
Wow.
Okay, that should be good. And then I've got my favorite, ball jar. And some ice. I'm an ice person, so I'm going to put a good amount of that in there. Now I'm going to open up my Bundaberg, and you're going to enjoy this. There's so much about this. Look at the shape of the bottle. It's gorgeous. It's got the ring pull, like old-timey. Now listen.
Oh,
it's great. Also, it's plastic, so you can stick it back on if you don't finish it, which is a joke. Of course you're going to finish it. It's Bundaberg, ginger beer. I'm going with half because they didn't give me any measurements. So no, little over half. Okay. And then they said soda, and I've got a soda stream. And the lovely thing about the soda stream is you can make it as soda-y as you want. You can push that little button many times. And I do.
Wow.
Just a minute.
So it's really bubbly.
Really bubbly, very carbonated.
Ooh. Oh my God.
And the contrast, the green with the
salivating.
pink, the green with the pink.
Yeah, you did this whole color coordination.
Yep.
You've got this green thing in the background.
Just do the thing. Whoa. Get that out of the way.
And
And now the coup de grace, the limes, the fresh limes.
she's even cutting them.
I like to quarter them because you get a better squeeze. And one will end up in the drink. So I like to just slice the peel a little bit. Can you get more lime in there? And here we go.
Oh man.
Okay, I'm trying to show you and be fancy, but I'm not Tom Cruise in cocktail, so I'm going to put it down so I don't spill. One more. What I found really delightfully today, as I did my research, fortunately it's non-alcoholic research, otherwise this would be a different conversation, was that the lime really cuts the little sort of aftertaste of fake sugar, which a diet Bundaberg has. So it kind of cuts off on that weird taste of it. And this is an acrylic spacer that is used in picture framing. And nice. I forgot my spoon, so that's what I'm using. And then I'm just going to toss that lime in there.
Oh my God. Cheers.
Cheers. I'm going to wait for you. I'm not drinking until you're done with yours.
All right. So everybody knows she was very secretive about what her drink was. So usually I would match. So instead I had to come up with my own. So I have actually been doing this quite a bit, and it's ice. That's simple. And then Lauren left this at our house. It's sparkling grapefruit water from wait. Oh, it didn't even sparkle nearly as good as yours.
But so I can hear it.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm going to fill mine almost halfway too. And this is people that know me know this is one of my favorite things to drink ever. And it's pomegranate juice. And my philosophy is that if I'm drinking it with tequila, it's an antioxidant. So very similar to Pac-Man. It eats up any of the bad stuff so that I can keep drinking. And for me, I like to drink to have fun. And the longer I'm drinking, it means the more that we're having fun. And then my granddaughter Zelda loves lemonade. So we happen to have this on hand. So I'm adding that. And here's my mocktail. Cheers.
Excellent. Can we call it the Zelda?
Oh, that's a great idea. We'll call it the Zelda.
There you go.
It's delicious.
It is good. You know what I'm thinking?
What?
It'd be great with gin.
Oh my God, that's so funny you say that. Because I just thought, well, I'll do the mocktail, but I feel like having a drink right now. So I'm just going to see as an experiment, because I had Julia Brothers on and this was her gin, and I don't usually drink gin. And that was such a great segue there. So now I'm having...
Find that gin is quite the refresher. I never drank it before the shelter at home. but I was at home with the mister, and I was like, that's a pretty blue bottle. Yeah, that's sapphire. Well, what should I mix with that? Yeah. And then it was like, oh, quinine. Quinine fights malaria. Malaria could be like COVID. Let's drink some gin and tonic.
And you haven't gotten
quinine.
sick. Did you get sick?
It's true, I have not.
There you go. So
But
we may have a solution.
Exactly. I'm going to be a grandma soon.
You are? Tell us.
My stepson Ian is, and his wife, actually not Ian, his wife Hallie is pregnant and is due in 2021. Thank you, in January. So, which is nice. It'll be nice to get out of this year that's been so weird. Yes. I mean, it's been interesting, but
yeah,
isn't it weird? Time has flowed very differently.
It's flowed very differently. And now, like you just said, 6 months. I mean, to me, I used to be counting by week because we thought we were closing down for 2 weeks.
Right.
And then we figured out, I think then it became maybe May 1st, maybe June 1st. And I thought, oh, for sure, we're going to open July 1st. And I think you and I talked about it because you were cast in the Clean House and you sent me an email saying, hey, the Clean House, everyone's going to want to come. It's clean. And I thought, that's brilliant. So I thought for sure we were going to just go ahead and do that in July. Wrong. And now it's 6 months later and there is not a single theater. There's nobody thinking that we're going to be live inside of a theater in 2020.
Not this year. No, not this year. I don't see how that can happen.
No. We can't even go to the hairdresser.
Literally. Right. I could see somebody like I did that Didion show a year ago and I was like, oh, that was kind of perfect for these COVID times. But then I was like, Stacy, pull your head out, think. An audience, just because you don't have to interact with cast members, an audience still has to sit there. But it would be like an ideal thing to like a one-person show to go and film in a real theater. And then early meaning mid-April, May, maybe, I was like, maybe people will just produce a show with full production values in an empty theater and film it the best they can. And I was like, well, that's an idea, but you got to be like wealthy to do that with no money coming in, so it's not a viable idea.
It's actually a great idea because we're looking into doing it. The trick is that that our union is being incredibly sticklers about safety, even so much as even if there's one person on stage, they want to know what your air quality value is inside your theater. So
wow.
Yeah. So we're actually working on that because we're hoping to do something that even we're going to do digital, but if we can possibly do something like that, we're all in.
Well, I'm in. Stick the temperature trigger to my head. And by the way, have you done that? Have you been somewhere that they're like, we got to do this? I went to the dentist and I was like, oh, thank God. I went to one dentist because I was in pain and I had to get there and like, nobody was wearing a shield. There were 4 people in the waiting room. Nobody took my temperature. And I was like, I can't come back here. I can't, because if I need a root canal, I just can't,
Yeah.
So the next place I finally just went to Randy's dentist and it was like, she's got the shield on, she puts the thing on my forehead. Yeah, you can come in now, I was like, and I felt so good. It's like, so the rule of thumb is if you don't feel like you're walking into a sci-fi movie when you go to the dentist, turn around and find a different dentist.
Well, especially because dental, you spread a lot of bacteria through your mouth.
Yeah.
And why would they do that? That's so weird.
It was just crazy.
So Stacy, we know each other super well. I don't know how well everybody knows you, but tell me about the moment that led you to being an actor.
Oh, I'm not sure there was one. Okay. I think it was something I was really attracted to as a kid because I really liked watching movies and I really liked pretending I was in them, as one of the characters.
Yeah.
Rarely was I me. I didn't put like me in the Big Valley or me in whatever. E.T.
Who were you in Big Valley?
Oh, exactly. I don't know. I think I made up a character that wasn't me, but I played it, but it wasn't Stacy. It was like Stacy as,
Right.
somebody riding a horse in badass
Oh,
black leather, like Barbara Stanwyck. I don't know, something like that.
right. You just added a character to it.
Right. In my head.
I love
Which you can
that.
do when you come home obsessively after school and at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and watch the next episode of the rerun of Big Valley. Yeah, I don't know. I think I really, really, really needed a lot of attention. And that kind of led to like, I'll do this,
Did you
But
do theater in high school?
I did my senior year. I took acting or the theater class, whatever it was called. I think it was probably just called Theater 1, because I'd done all the art classes, and I felt like it was too late to start with something like ceramics. And I found the ceramics teacher was kind of a little skeevy. And he hung out with the photography teacher, and I'd taken photography, and that guy was definitely skeevy. So it was like, nah, no, I'm not going to be taking ceramics. Well, okay, I'm just going to suck it up. Because I think I was hesitant because in high school, everybody who's doing theater has been doing it since junior high with all the same people,
Yeah.
So it was like this clique that I was walking into, but I just sucked it up and did it. And there was this wonderful, sweet, smart, sassy, old gay Texan who was the theater teacher, Billy Kramer. He was fucking great. And can I say fucking? Fuck. He was so wonderful, and the first time, and he just welcomed me with open arms. And the first time I, got up and read out loud, he was like, "Where have you been?" And I said, "Oh, in the art department." He was like, "Okay, read this.
Oh
He
my
was just
God.
he was really, really welcoming. And maybe that's when I actually thought, oh, I want to be no, I think I still wanted to be, I think I still thought I would end up a movie star. I think I figured out that you could be a stage actor in college when I went and helped my teacher / mentor. I was like an office grunt at the Bay Area Playwrights Festival when it took place at Tam High. So she brought me, I was watching her house in Chico, and she called me up and she said, "Find somebody else to watch the house and get down here. There's a lot for you we need your help just in the office. We'll trade you. You can take acting classes in trade for, doing grunt work." And I was like, great. Okay. And then, she was staying at a friend's house, and I got to sleep in a bed in, the spare room and stuff. And I think that's when I realized, oh, you can just be on stage. Because I'd seen stage plays, but, I was a California suburban kid, and I wasn't thinking I'm going to go to New York. It's just never really occurred to me at that point in time.
No, wait, let's back up a little bit. Where are you from?
Southern California. I was born in Torrance, which is pretty close to the beach.
Yeah.
Like Redondo Beach area.
Yeah, totally. I love it there. So I'm guessing that must be what influenced you to thinking that you would be a movie star rather than a stage star, because LA is about that, right?
Certainly. I mean, I think if I would have been much more exposed to theater had I grown up in New York, maybe. Mm-hmm. Although my dad took me to musicals. It was like this hidden thing. I'll take you to see Annie. And then we went to see Annie, and we both had a good time. And he was like, "We should go again." I was like, "Okay, let's do that." So I saw a few stage plays, but we were out in the burbs, and then you drive into like the Pantages or the Amundsen. But he took me to some cool stuff. Yeah. But there wasn't a lot of it, and I think, I was just influenced by, I pretty much chained myself to a television as a child. I read a lot, but I also watched a lot of reruns, and I watched a lot. You could just, turn on the television and there would be old movies, So I schooled myself with old movies, not because I was trying to educate myself. I just loved it, it was great, So, and the TV guide would tell you everything. So I'd be like, oh, at 2 a.m. there's this Marlon Brando movie. I've heard his name, and then I'd sneak up and watch for 2 a.m. Marlon,
That's so
It's
cool.
crazy.
So
But I think it was just because that's what I was mostly exposed to. You know, my father loved movies, so we would go see movies a lot. And I think that's just
so
that was the step.
did you ever, I'm so intrigued. I've never known this about you. Did you ever pursue a film career or want
No.
to?
No, by the time I got out of grad school, I was like, I need to get as far from this place as possible. And I was also really convinced that there was no, and I think I was convinced because I looked at the television and there was nobody like me on it. You know, there was nobody who was like, oh, people mistake you for a man on a regular basis. Your voice is very low. You're, you know, we don't, you're not, as somebody explained to me, a casting director for South Coast Rep, actually. If you're going to be unattractive in Hollywood, you have to be really unattractive. If you're going to be attractive, you have to be really attractive. So if you're ugly, you better be fucking ugly. If you're pretty, you better be goddamn beautiful. And that is not a lie. That is not as true as it was 30 years ago. But she was absolutely right. She was somebody who went in, she was a heavy woman. She went in for a camera thing, you know, some television thing. And they were like, it starts next week. Can you gain 20 pounds? We want someone really fat.
Oh my God.
And that's normal. That's just normal shit. It may not be that way now, but it was 30 years ago. And I guarantee it was 40 and 50 years ago.
Right.
You know? So, I mean, I looked around and it was like, oh, I also just didn't want to be in that part of the state anymore. By the time I finished grad school, I was just ready to be someplace else. You know?
So you went to Chico for undergrad and then you went back to LA for grad school, right?
Yeah, well, it was Orange County, which is
Orange County. You don't get it's
even harder than LA. Yeah, UC Irvine. Yeah, it's a different place.
Yeah, I went to school at San Diego State, which I didn't feel like was like that as much, but I always thought, oh, once I decided to get into acting in my 30s, I thought, well, I got to go back to LA. And so I would go visit, and like you say, there was no one that looked like you. I just felt like being brunette, you're done. There's nothing.
Right.
It's like, all right, maybe this isn't going to be for me. So
well, Amy Resnick said years ago, she was like, I was short, you know, it was like I was invisible. It was like all the lesbians were 6'2" blondes. I was like, holy fuck. Okay, then. Damn. You know?
So everybody's got it bad, even the blondes. Oh my God.
I think there's always a category of other that we can find for ourselves. I mean, I have felt like I was in it forever. You know, I mean, people could look me right in the face. I had curly hair down to here and I was wearing a baby doll. Now, granted, like this was a liquor store, so he couldn't see my whole body, but it was like, it was this, I mean, and you know, and they call me sir. So it's like, yeah, I'm definitely other, you know, there's definitely a different vibe coming off of me, you know, which got in the way a lot.
That's what?
You know, it got in the way a lot at first, you know, for years. And then I played the only Shakespeare role I could get was somebody who dressed like a woman for like 5 minutes and then, you know, wore pants for the rest of the play. I played all the breeches roles, you know, 12th Night and
that's so funny. See, I don't see you that way at all, but I like you actually, like I wonder if it's because you have such a deep voice too. Like I always thought you look like a fashion model because you're long and lean, and then you've got that, your confidence comes from that. I think that lower register, not comes from it, but it coming from a lower register states confidence. I actually learned this by having my dog, that if I really want her to do something, I need to speak in a lower register, and she listens to me.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? It's like even the canines are kind of sexist. It's like, dude. I did find though with one friend, her dog, I had to like, she has a really high pitched voice, and that was what the dog after years was used to. So I was like, oh, I don't even think she hears me. So I'd be like, Delilah! And then she'd go, huh?
Oh my God,
So
that's great.
conditioning has something to do with it.
Here's to that. Here's to that. So you've been, I mean, as far as I can tell, you hit the ground running in the Bay Area. You decided you were going to live here. Did you? Oh, wait, well, actually, I don't know. Did you graduate from Orange County and say San Francisco is my place?
No, I graduated from Irvine of
Oh, mhm.
a classmate and I ended up in New Jersey at the George Street Playhouse the next
Okay.
school year, and we were their traveling kids show. So we did a few
Okay.
different shows, and there were like 4 of us in a van that we nicknamed the Death Trap because it was. And then after that, I came back, stayed with my mom for a few months, and then auditioned for Cal Shakes in '92, and then and I was like, I don't know where I'm going to live. It only pays $200 a week, you know. And my brother was living in the inner Sunset at the time, and he said, "You worry about getting the job. You just go get the job. You can stay with me. Don't worry." And I did. And then the next year, and then when that season ended, I went home and to my mom's, "Hi, Mom, back again." She was like, "Great," and the next round of auditions, summer auditions, I auditioned for SF Shakes and did 12th night and came up and like couch surfed. And then I just never left. Literally, some friends adopted me out of Golden Gate Park. They were friends of the actor playing Sebastian. And they were like, "Leith tells us you need a place to stay. We got an extra room,
Wow.
And then I showed up. I was like, "That's great. I really do. And I've got a day job, and so I got there like on a Friday, and they were going out of town for the weekend. And they just showed me where everything was and then split. And then I walk into the living room and there's like a piece of paper with a note, a bud and a bong. And it says, "Hey, Stace, welcome. We'll be back late Sunday or early Monday. Smoke this." I was like, okay, And then I stayed there for a while, a few months, and then I moved almost a year, and then moved with my buddy Greg Bryan to the Mission, and I was there for a few years. Yeah. So I literally just had this magic summer with SF Shakes, and I just never left.
Yeah.
And
from what I can tell, you never stopped working either.
Oh no, it was the first few years were pretty tough. I mean, I was 29 then, and I don't think I started working. I would say I really didn't work on a like regular basis till I was, well into my 30s, like 35. And then it was a couple more years before like that just became my job. And I gave up my day job because I hurt my back so badly. And then I just never kind of worked my way back into getting a day job.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Well, you did framing.
But this is my day job, and now I'm back.
Yeah, now you're a framer that's amazing. I love it. So, gosh, I can't believe this time is going by too fast. So, Donnie is monitoring the chat box. I'm just wondering if I'm going to see if anybody has written in any questions that they want us to ask you. Okay, great. So, hey, Donnie, why don't you let us know if anybody's asked any questions?
Let me just turn on my mic here. I think they can hear me. Okay. A handful of questions here in the chat. We've got a lot of people joining us tonight. I'll give some shout outs. Rebecca, Rose, Robert, Susan, Donna Borby, Margaret, Deborah. Somebody says, "Hi, Stacy. You stayed with us when you acted at the San Jose Rep, and my husband and I never missed a chance to see you again." Very sweet. So here's a question for Stacy. What was it like doing Smell of the Kill with such a young company?
great. Who's that? You
Yeah.
know?
I'll never forget because Annie Stewart, I have to say, believed in us from the top and was telling people that we were doing good things. And when she said, because she brought us you, and then a couple years later, she brought us Carl Lumley. And I'm like,
Yeah. Okay.
this woman believes in us. Thank you. But I'll never forget because you walked in and I was sitting in the audience while Bill was auditioning the other roles. And you walked in with Annie and I was so nervous. And because it's one thing, I mean, because I don't know, just because you're amazing. And you have a little bit of a imposter syndrome when you're the person that started the theater. It's like, okay, I'm going to cast myself in this and I'm going to cast Stacy Ross opposite me. Woohoo!
I had no idea that you didn't come off like you were intimidated. You were just like, let's do this scene. I was like, oh, okay. Which is exactly the way to handle me. Exactly the way. Here's your read this. Okay. I'll read it.
I read it. Yeah, no, that was amazing. And I love that show. I still keep threatening.
Yeah.
Not threatening, begging
to
do it again. Right?
Because it was so fun, man. We'd be there like, I remember this one little woman in a twin set. I never knew what a twin set was. A customer taught me. And, so she's in her little knit twin set and her hands are like just over her tummy like that. And she's sitting there and we're like, wait a minute, maybe we shouldn't, let's just think about this a minute. And she was like in the front row and she goes like this. And I was like, that lady's been married a long time. You know it.
So just so you guys all know, Smell of the Kill is a play. It's a comedy, but it's about three women who are cleaning up after a dinner party. Their husbands are in the other room. They start talking about their husbands, as you can imagine.
As we do.
And the husbands end up going down to the brand new meat locker. They're from the Midwest or something, right? Or Michigan or
but everybody needs a meat locker.
Yeah, because they hunt for deer and they get locked in. So the three women who have just spent all the dish time bitching about their husbands, I think you're the one that says, wait a minute, right?
No, yeah, Zara was like, oh my God, we got to get him out. And I'm like, hold on.
So anyway, anybody that wants us to do that play again, send me an email so I can forward it to Bill.
Yes.
Anyway,
yes.
Donnie, were there any more questions?
Yes. No, you didn't lose me. But hold on, I am having an audio issue with but I am going to turn that on while I ask you a question here. They can't hear you for the next 10 seconds while I fix this. Some folks would love to hear Stacy about some of your favorite roles. All right, your audio is back. Favorite roles.
Favorite roles. I have to say that usually my favorite role is really very tied up into the production. It's rarely about the role. I mean, the role, of course, has something to do with it, but it usually ends up having so much to do with the integration of the whole experience for me. And Viola in 12th Night was an early one. Also, I felt it was the story of my life. Everybody thinks this woman's a man and she falls in love with a guy who thinks she's a guy and sends her, and the girl falls in love with her, and it's just story of my life. And then I got to play Hannah Arendt in a play called Hannah and Martin, and that was amazing. I knew nothing about Hilla Rebay when we did Bauer, but by the time we got to New York and we had Big Howard to play with, it was like, oh my God. It was like jazz, It's like, this is what people mean when they say, oh man, we were really riffing. Because you're still playing the tune, but there was a little spin on it every night,
Yeah.
I got to do this show at the Aurora last year, just about a year ago, called Bull in a China Shop. And I had so much fun with that cast. It was just 5 women having a great time with each other. And Dawn Monique Williams was the director, and it was fantastic. I got to do a one-woman show, and Danny Bay is an incredible stage manager who literally, I knew that script because of Danny Bay.
Oh,
You know,
I love her. She
working
recently
with John.
worked for us.
Yes, she's phenomenal. John Tracy
Mhm.
directed me and Martha Brigham in Leni, about Leni Riefenstahl. And
Yeah,
it's like,
amazing.
it taught me that I literally can defend any character, any character. I was like, what? She wasn't a Nazi. She never joined the party. What? But I mean,
That's
they're
so
great
true.
characters. But what really made them fun was like, finding them with a director and figuring out and feeling how lights and sound and this costume, especially with the Didion, because it was only me, how that affected it and finding your way through. And almost always the most joyous is who you get to play with and what you're going to do with it that night. While you still play the tune, you're still doing the play, you're still doing not just the lines, but the spirit and you still do the play, but it's like music in that it can never actually be played the same way twice, because you can't relive a moment ever. You can recreate it to the best of your ability, but if all you're doing is recreating it to the best of your ability, it gets stale pretty quickly. So you got to keep it alive, and that's the fun part. So sorry, yeah. Just like I don't have any dream roles, I have favorite productions, I guess. And I pretty much touched on them, I think.
I think,
wow, thanks for asking that.
That's such a great question. That's really a great question. Were there any others that you wanted to pass on to us, Donnie?
Sure, yeah, there's one here from somebody named Julia B. I might have some guesses about who that is.
I have a guess about who that
is. She says, and this is for both of you, what advice do you have for younger actors, especially women? And what have you learned along the way that has helped you grow as an actor?
I really am heartened by changes that are happening now. And I think they would have happened a lot sooner if a lot of us had been just maybe a little braver, maybe a little more willing to be labeled difficult. Wow. Mocktail, and I can't come up with an answer. Thank God I wasn't gin.
Why.
Can you imagine? Exactly.
Maybe that's why. I'm so glad Julia's watching so she can see I'm taking advantage of it. Sorry, Julia, the aviator is going to be gone when you come to visit. Anyway, go ahead. It seemed like you.
I think it's hard to believe in yourself, but you have to do that all the time. It's okay to question things. It's okay to doubt. I had a teacher say, if you ever doubt being in this business, you shouldn't be in it. And when I just like, she was a phenomenal teacher, but that sounds inhuman to me. I think it's okay to doubt things. I think it's okay to stick up for yourself. I think you have to stick up for yourself. In something that Susie and I did together, I learned the hard way that you really can't watch somebody else be treated badly and expect to come through it okay. It's not okay just because it's not happening to you. It's harder watching it happen to somebody else and thinking, is it my place to step in? If it's bad behavior, if it's abusive, it is your place to step in and go ahead and do that. And I think we're coming to a place culturally where women are learning to do that. And I think we need to grab that. Also, if you have a role that you want to audition with, like monologues and such, don't let anybody tell you, or I would urge you not to let anybody tell you that you'll never be cast. Is that why are you auditioning with that? Oh, well, I'm auditioning with that because I can hit this one out of the park, and you're going to want to be careful you don't get whiplash when I do. Here it comes.
Yes.
You use what works for you. You show yourself off to the best of your ability, and the better you feel about the piece you're using, whether you think anybody's ever going to cast you for that or not, the better you feel about that, the more you're showing these people who want to find somebody. That's another thing. They hope you're good. A lot of them are assholes, but actually they need somebody. Otherwise you wouldn't be in that room. Mostly. Sometimes it's a gimme, but mostly you wouldn't be in that room if they didn't need a good actor. So they actually mostly want you to be good. So show yourself to your best advantage, because that way you can feel good about it. And ultimately, you can get to the point where it's actually fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I get to audition today. Watch this. And
Oh
always
my
treat yourself
God,
after an audition.
Stacy.
Always treat yourself, whether it's Marsha Pizzo likes a cookie. I used to go to Ross and buy myself a cheap t-shirt. Always treat yourself after an audition. Doesn't matter what it is. Okay.
Damn, you need to write a whole book on that. Is I mean,
I'm
this
just gonna
is
have a Zoom class with
yeah,
cocktails.
just have a Zoom class. I'll sponsor it. Yeah, because oh my God, everything you said so many different things. And one of them that really stands out to me is that when I got into acting, first of all, I got into it in my 30s. So everyone told me I was too old to do it and that I would never make it. Right.
Yeah.
And then the next thing is that they said you need to figure out what your type is and do those things. And I could never figure out what my type was because there wasn't anybody that I could look at and go, oh, I'm that type, because I'm different. And so I love your advice. Like right now, the most fun is when you walk in the room and just do what you think. Like you have to truly, you want to connect truly to something and then do what you think. You just do you.
Yeah.
You don't do something else. You do you.
Yeah.
And either you get the role or you don't get the role. But having sat on the other side of the table as a director for now, I see people come in, and the ones that really do themselves, not do what they think I want, but do what I have sometimes changed my whole perspective on a show. Like said, oh my God, that person has to be in that role, which means boom, 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 boom. All these changes have to be made. All these people I was going to cast. So sorry, because I just got woken up by this whole new perspective. Yeah. Anyway, so that's amazing. Good.
But that's also great to hear that you do that something can happen where you're not stuck in whatever your initial perception of your play was or the production of the play. Because that's huge, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think that would be boring.
I think, right. But it's also, I mean, that's kind of like a microcosm of what we're trying to do culturally now is pivot. You know, it's like, no, the circumstances are different on so many levels. It is time to adapt, you know, to what the change is, to see the truth before you and go with it, you know, and
to go with it and know that it'll be even more fun than it has been, because we're going to have so many, it's going to be way more fun. That's amazing. Okay. So we're coming up on our time, but I want to just, because we've gotten so many amazing questions. Donnie, are there any more that we just need to do?
I'm here.
I got him off guard. He's having a hot time.
No, yeah, you got most of them.
There's talk and talk.
We're good at this.
Somebody wants to know how you've both been spending your COVID quarantine time.
Stacy, you do.
Framing pictures, taking walks before it got smoke-filled, and gardening. My garden is doing pretty well. Yeah.
Amazing. I've been spending most of my time, we reorganized the pantry, which I have to tell you, I have a not so lazy Susan. It's literally called that. I'm put one in the fridge too. I'm like, how did I not do this 20 years ago? And, you know, of course, on top of that, we're doing everything we can to keep theater at the forefront of everyone's minds. And I spend as much time with my dog outside as possible. So wonderful.
Emmy, the theater dog.
Oh my God. She's so sad that she doesn't get to meet people every day. All right. I have a bonus round of questions for you, Stacy. Inspired by James Lipton, but not, I think only one of, I don't even know if any of them are something that he said, but I love this. Okay. So there are 10 questions, just off the top of your head, whatever you want to say. Okay. First question, dog or cat?
Dog.
What is dream world? I mean, dream meal, dream world, dream meal.
At the moment, I really want the fried chicken livers that I had in Harlem with Teddy and Tots. Oh That's my dream meal right now.
Amazing. What is your favorite word?
Randy.
Aww. That's her husband.
Because it's
in
a
case you don't know.
noun and an adjective.
Yes. One item on your bucket list, something you haven't done yet.
I was going to say go to Venice, but I really want to just drive around in a tricked out van for a month. I think I've just been overly influenced by pictures on social media.
I love it.
Yeah.
If you could have a drink with anyone, alive or dead, who would it be?
Okay, this would be super scary because he's so smart. But I think Stephen Fry. The guy who played, Stephen Fry, the tall guy, the really big, he played Oscar Wilde a few years ago. Well, many years ago, I guess now, but yeah, he's super smart and funny and an amazing author as well. Yeah. Stephen Fry.
I love it.
I think I'd be really intimidated though.
You're kind of blushing, so I think so. What is your favorite song or lyric?
You know what? I'm going to go with, I'm not good with favorites, but I am going to go with, I'll just give you my favorite standard because it's held up. Fly Me to the Moon.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is your go-to quote?
Oh, honey, get off the cross. Somebody else needs the wood.
I love it. What is the title of your memoir?
Because I said so.
I love that. Oh my God, you must write it. What's the best advice you've received or given?
When you walk into an audition, and I hate to bring it back to acting, I wish I could think of something else, but when you walk into an audition, take a moment to look at your surroundings and where you are, and remember, that's your 4 minutes. That's yours. So you spend it well and spend it the way you want to, and orienting yourself with the space will help.
Wow, that's good. And the last question is, what do we need most right now?
Connection.
Love it. Love it.
I think
that's it.
Yep. I think.
No, go ahead. Say what you were going to say. I'm not trying to cut you off.
I think Zoom is connection, and it's something that's worked really well as a stopgap. And I think it's getting to the point, not with you, for me right now, because we haven't seen each other, but I think it's getting to the point where it's not enough, and we need the next generation. And I think the next generation is being able to touch each other.
Yeah. There's nothing like it. I went to the theater today and Maggie was there. And even though we socially distanced, it was just so nice to be within the energy of somebody else. It was really beautiful.
Yeah.
So thank you, Stacy. I don't want to overstep our time. It's been so great catching up with you. Thank you for spending your time with us.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been so fun.
You're amazing.
I'm going to go throw gin into this mocktail.
Amazing. I want to thank all the donors that I've been told that we hit some record numbers tonight. Thank you so much, because we're giving away free tickets but we're still have expenses, and we really appreciate you doing it. And if you didn't donate, you can do so after the show when you get your thank you link. And what I want to also do is thank Donnie for popping in without me giving him much warning. And let you guys know that next week we are going to have our Monday night Zoom lit, and it's called Two Pigeons Talk Politics. It's by Lauren Gunderson, who wrote Bauer, among zillions of other amazing plays that she's written, because she was the most produced playwright in America 2 years ago. And I almost think 2 years in a row,
right?
2 years in a row.
I think. Yeah.
And she lives here in San Francisco. So we're super lucky to have her. I mean, that woman she sits in a rehearsal when you're doing a world premiere. She goes home and rewrites the play. So she's prolific, and that's going to be directed by Tracy Ward, and it's going to star, oh, I didn't get both names, so I'm not going to say either one, but one of them played Mary Poppins. I can't tell you. And then next Thursday, we're back to Bill interviewing a local playwright, Cleavon Smith, at the Fireside Chat. And he wrote, he's been writing a lot of stuff over at Theater First, has done a lot of his work. I think maybe even developed a lot of him as a writer there. And on our Zoomlit, we did his play called Two Friends, a Toothbrush, and a Sense of Urgency. So that's what we have coming up. Thank you everybody for joining. And Stacy, I love you and can't wait to see you and do more of
Live. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my God, I love you.
I love
All
you
right,
too.
bye everybody.